Oh, you have my copy. Okay, I can give that back. I was stealing it from that. Okay. No, why do you apologize? Just give me 1 second here. Just flip to the correct page. Are we on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Marla Billinghurst, and I will be chairing the panel this morning. To my left is Ms. Giselle Rempel, and to my far left is Mr. Robert Grodzik. The assessor this morning is Ms. Amanda Evans, and our recording secretary is Ms. Huda Aziz. Did I say that? Okay, so. Okay. We will begin by hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in or they can affirm. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matter to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish, and once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. And as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. All right, the first matter on the docket this morning is 244 Elm Street. So please come forward, be sworn in.
You have to swear in or affirm. Please state your full name, and do you swear the evidence you represent is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Would you like to swear in or affirm? Okay. Please state your full name.
Yes, Inush.
And do you swear the evidence you represent is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have evidence you would like to share with the panel, please? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Evans, please proceed.
Okay, this is for 244 Elm Street. The property is located in the North River Heights neighborhood. It's a two-story single-family dwelling with an effective age of 1926. It is 2,144 square feet with a finished basement. It has 2 bathrooms, 1 fireplace, and the lot size is 4,423 square feet. The comparable properties are 240 Cordova Street, 221 Oak Street, 335 Elm Street, and 147 Cordova Street. They're all in the same neighborhood as the subject property, and they're all two-story single-family dwellings with ages ranging from 1924 to 1940. 147 Cordova Street has a finished basement, and the rest do not. 240 Cordova has 3 bathrooms, and the rest have 2 bathrooms. They all have a fireplace, and 147 Cordova has 2 fireplaces. And the comparable properties all have detached garages. The lot sizes range from 4,820 square feet to 5,237 square feet. The time-adjusted price per square foot of the comparables range from $226.06 to $269.82, and the subject property is at $200.56. The subject property sold in 2017 for $440, and I believe that our value up to $430 should be maintained.
Thank you very much. Okay, do you have questions for the assessor about her evidence?
Well, yes and no, because it's part of the evidence. So
okay, because first
okay.
you get a chance to question her on her evidence, okay. And then we'll question her, and then you'll get a chance to present your evidence.
The only question I have is, do you have the finishing or the upgrade of all these houses you're presenting?
Have I looked at them and have I done an inspection, or have I seen? Well, I do. I did look at the MLS listings, yes.
Okay.
And none of them have granite countertops or anything like that. I know that your kitchen has granite countertops. The comparables don't. Other than that, they are all very well maintained in similar shape to your property. They've been well maintained and good character homes similar to your property.
And in this neighborhood, everything that's correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that your question? Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Graza?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Rimple?
I have no questions, thank you.
And I have no questions, so please proceed with your presentation.
Okay, so I give you some different documents. So first of all, I'm very sorry. I'm from France. I'm new to that. So the third page is the comparison between the other house in my street in terms of tax assessment. But it's just to give an idea and to have an idea of the environment.
Again, you cannot look at
it, but I think also it cannot be compartmented. It's a good idea to have that in the back of your head. What happened is in October 2018, I received a pre-assessment or pre-evaluation. I don't know how you want to what is it exactly called, evaluating the house at 413. And a few months after, I received another letter saying it's now at 430. So when I received at 413, I wanted to understand how it worked, because we moved from France 5 years ago. We bought a house prior to that. We never went through an evaluation. It's like we bought the house, it was evaluated, and then we sold the house to buy this one. And so I wanted to understand for different reasons. First of all, because I started having better knowledge of the market. As I say, moving from France, we didn't really know Winnipeg and not even River Heights. We had this idea, conception, that turned out was a little bit different than the reality, and I will come to this point after. But I wanted to know, and when I called the city or the assessor, he said, you know what, don't even bother coming. He will do nothing for you. Just be lucky, because you bought the house for 440 and it's 413. I said, wow, this is very nice. And so when I received the 430, I had the feeling that I was penalized for raising this question and asking why, it was evaluated at 430. So I don't have proof of that, but I called, so there probably is an audio evidence, if you want to dig it out. But as I say, when I received the 430, I was quite amazed of the difference and did not understand. And my first feeling was that I was penalized because I raised a question. That's why I called my city councillor to ask him what is the process to appeal to that. And we're here. Now, coming back to second evidence, so I took some houses in the neighborhood. So some are 2 stories, some are 1.5 story, or 2.5 story. What I wanted to see or to show on that one is there are, roughly same, some are, they are smaller, but what happened is that the value adjustments were revised down up to 5%, and I wanted to understand also what was taken into this consideration, because apparently sometimes it can be revised, but I just found this information. The land is bigger than mine. Some have garage. I do not. So this is something that I wanted to highlight. Also, I listed the reason why I think we basically overpaid the house. So we had some mice issue last year. Was never disclosed when we sold the house. Well, good for our friends the cats. We have a cat now, but I mean, it was kind of painful when you find a mice in your bedroom. We have an old kitchen, so maybe there is granite countertop, but the kitchen overall is more than 30 years old. It's also not well insulated. It's in an addition, so it's very not. Kitchen nowadays it's a very important place in the house, and it's not very welcoming. It's cold, old windows, old kitchen. So this one hasn't been updated. So the house, I would say, has been maintained, but barely, like minimum, very minimum. Nothing really has been done. No upgrades, carpets, wallpaper, damaged floor. They even screw the floor. It was covered with a lot of carpet when we visited. We have indeed 2 bathrooms, but one is in a basement, and the other one is a very small one. One vanity, very old, also 30 years old at least. We have some old windows, wooded one with some leak, so can also feel cold in winter, especially for me, not used to that, or even after 5 years, still not used to. Also old materials, so some have been updated, but some have not, and recently had water damage in my basement, actually, so it's not really finished anymore because we need to remove everything. What happened, the main stack, which was in iron cast, broke, but this one was hidden behind the wall that has been put in, and no access, so we had to remove everything, and so we discovered that more pipe are like that, so probably we'll have to also do some upgrade. So as I mentioned, no garage, it's just a carport. I highlighted that the housing market, so we first bought in in East Kildonan, and we never thought that River Heights would be accessible for us, and then we saw the house, and coming from France, so a lot of character and stuff like that, and we said, wow, this is a very nice house. So it was listed for $450, we would be honest with you, but it's still on the market almost 80 days, which is kind of unusual, especially in the springtime in River Heights. A few reasons. First is the kitchen, no open concept, so it's far, so people were not attracted to that. No garage, even detached, people didn't like that. And as I say, it was, I won't say vetused, but it was very old, like wallpaper, carpet, stuff like that. Us, we were attracted by the fact that it was an old house, reminding us our country, and also some character. Amanda mentioned, like the molding and stuff like that. Anyway, we wanted to negotiate more, but you know how it works. Sometimes real estate agents want to, so they say, well, don't bother, make this offer and you'll go. So unfortunately for us, we did not pursue by negotiating, and we ended up paying $440, which I still believe that it's more than what we should have paid. Also, we have an old boiler, 30 years old. Well, I'm prepared soon to spend maybe $10,000 again. Insulation, I mentioned that, some room, especially addition, not well insulated, and when it is a kitchen, it can be very nice. The yard and the tree hasn't been maintained, so now I have also to take care of that for different reasons, and I think the storm we recently had highlighted the importance of having healthy trees. But some people think that it's not important, that it's just an expense. So I have to do that, and it costs a lot of money, especially if you do it right. And so we had a heavy rain lately, and what happened is, so on top of the kitchen, I have like an office, and I took some picture. I'm sorry I did not print that, but I start having some leak on the roof. They had a leak issue in 2012. They said that it was fixed. I think it was not properly fixed because now I have that. So I will have to deal with that again after it melts. But I noticed that just before it floors. So, as I indicated, overall a lot of maintenance, and we did not evaluate properly the house. So, we think that it should be revised down. Now, I want to pay the fair amount of taxes. I don't have any issue with that, but I think we shouldn't take the house, the market or the price we paid, or even the 430, as a reference. I was thinking more 420. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Ms. Evans, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Mr. Gradza?
So this, that you've submitted here, this letter from the Assessment and Taxation Department, proposed market value of 413. Did you get another letter indicating that the proposed market value would be 440? No, 430?
Yes, I received that. I think it was in March, when they sent the final one.
So there's no.
I think I saw that online actually, because I was checking to see if something has been done after. But I don't know. I don't think. Oh yes, I received. Sorry, here.
Okay, no, that's your statement. Right?
Yeah, in June. In June. So
But
one day I received that.
But you never got a letter indicating
No.
that this is, we've looked at it, we now propose that it should be 430, and you have an opportunity to meet with an assessor.
Not at all. As I say, even when it was 413, I called them and they said, "Don't even come. You will waste your time."
So there was no explanation?
Nothing. The only explanation, sorry, it was like, you bought for 440, so be lucky. It's
Right.
not higher than that.
Now, you've mentioned your kitchen. Did you install granite countertop?
No, it's not. I did not do anything.
You did not do anything. You just indicated that the kitchen and the windows and that sort of stuff needs to be improved.
Yeah, everything else should be improved. Exactly. So I think what happened is the previous owner, they only changed the countertop. When, I don't know, but they changed that at one point in the last 30 years. But the kitchen itself hasn't been changed, so it's even older than that.
So the countertop is granite. Is that what was the reference to granite? There was reference to granite.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I think it's, I don't know where do I have the kitchen picture. But it's kind of granite. I don't know which kind of stone, but it's a hard stone. It's granite or marble. I don't know which one. Granite probably.
Okay. That's it for now. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Rumpel?
Yes, just to clarify, so you moved into the house in 2017,
Yes, October.
October 2017. Have you done anything to the house at all since you've moved in?
Yeah, I learned that also. I didn't know. Yeah, I basically clean a little bit the yard. You know what I mean? Cut the grass now nicely. Remove the weeds and stuff like that.
So landscaping outside the
exactly.
home? Anything inside the home at all?
No.
No, nothing.
No.
So it's still exactly in
Yeah,
the state?
it is old. Yeah.
Okay. So you indicated that there was water damage in the basement, and I'm not sure I understood you correctly. You said there was like a boiler or something behind the wall?
There is the main stack.
Oh, the stack. Okay.
Was behind the wall.
Okay.
And so what they did a closet. Or they finished the basement. I don't know when. When they did the closet and the bathroom, they closed the wall with no access to the stack.
Okay.
And so recently, we found some water on the carpet, and we don't know where it was coming from. Initially, we were thinking it was a foundation, to be honest with you.
Right.
And we were like, oh my God. So then we had to rip up the wall to get access. So it was a main stack because it was old materials. And they updated some things. For example, when they did the boiler 30 years ago, I think what happened, they put some copper.
Okay.
But the main stack, they did not replace it. Which means that it leaked one day.
So you had to tear a wall apart?
Tear a wall apart, replace that, and now I will have to deal with the insurance company to see what can be done. But
And was it clean water, or was it?
so it's 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 inside
Sewage?
water sewage.
Yeah, okay.
So from your bathroom and your toilet and your bathtub, basically.
Yeah, so you're probably going to have to remove all the carpeting. And
Exactly, and probably won't put any carpeting at all because, well, I don't know who puts carpet in the River Heights in the basement.
probably a few people.
I know. But that's the thing. We'll remove because it's even like the evacuation, the drain was not accessible because it was under the carpet. So hopefully there was no backup from the sewer because it will not have been accessible neither. So now I discover things also. It's good. I know better my house, but.
Okay. I'm also wondering if I could ask a question of the assessor at some point. I kind of missed my opportunity there.
Sure.
Okay. I'm just wondering, Amanda, if you've got any information on the increase in sales prices in the area over...
Like information on his?
No, just generally, like
Generally,
the
the average increase for that area
Yes.
is 5.8%.
5.8%.
So, yeah, so he's at 6%. Okay, just.
Okay, thank you.
Is that for
all.
Market Region 7? Okay. Okay. You guys covered my questions, so thank you very much. We'll leave it with us.
Thank you.
And you'll receive the order in the mail.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day. 24 Morier?
Would you like to swear in or affirm?
Je peux commencer à prendre la session. Okay.
Swear in? Okay. Please state your full name,
Michel Trudel.
and you swear the evidence you represent is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
And do you have evidence you'd like me to contact the family?
I do.
Thank you. Boy, they're loud today. Great. 7, please proceed.
Okay, this is for 24 Maury Avenues. The property is located in the Glenwood neighborhood. It's a two-story duplex built in 2017. It's 1,391 square feet with a finished basement. It has 4 bathrooms and air conditioning. The lot size is 3,244 square feet. The comparable properties are 492 Walker Avenue, 11 Gay Avenue, 220 Havelock Avenue, and 66 Crystal Avenue. They are all duplexes, and 492 Walker is a 2-story, and the rest are bi-levels, built between 2015 and 2018. The square footages range from 993 to 1574. The comparables all have finished basements. 492 Walker and 11 Gay have 4 bathrooms, and 220 Havelock and 66 Crystal have 2 bathrooms. The comparables all have air conditioning, and the lot sizes range from 2,206 square feet to 2,998 square feet. All of these properties are secondary units. They have them in the basement, separate entrance, and so that's why most of the weight was given to 492 Walker, as it is a 2-story. Most of the secondary units are bi-levels, and however, the bi-levels are selling for over $400,000. And they are smaller than the subject property. So I believe that his value of $400,000 should be maintained based on these comparables.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have questions for
I do,
this?
Madam Chairperson.
Please go ahead.
Madam Chairperson, I would like to know, my house is not a duplex. It is a single-family dwelling with a secondary suite. Now, while that might seem like it's the same thing because there is a suite in the basement, coding as well as variances are different, and they should not. I believe they should not be considered in the same category.
It is a secondary, sorry, it is a residential secondary unit, that's how we have it coded. It says duplex, that's just how it gets entered in our system, but all the comparable properties are also secondary suites that have been coded and have been zoned properly and the same type of permits taken out as you took out for your property. They're all the secondary units in the basement as well. It's not a typical, it's not a duplex the way that it comes up. I know it comes up saying duplex, but it's a residential secondary unit. And all the comparables are, excuse me, are as well. So they've gone through the same process as you have to get the right permits and the right zoning that you did for your property. Unfortunately, it does say, I mean, that's how we have to code it in our code, but the parcel unit, the parcel code is residential secondary unit, and that's what yours is. We'll speak to my supervisor about changing what it says about duplex and changing it to residential secondary unit. Because that does.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't state on here that it is a secondary unit, but that's what I picked your property, and all the comparables are the same secondary unit residential properties.
because I mean, I looked at buying 11K and it was listed as a duplex and
It's a secondary unit. I don't have that, but it is it's in our system as the same as yours as residential secondary unit.
Okay, but when I'm looking at the letter for Cummins Board of Revisions, and it gives me a link of where to look at comparable sales data, if I'm to look at that in preparing for this meeting, and my house isn't a duplex, I'm not going to be looking at the comparable to duplex in preparation for this meeting. And I mean, I didn't build the duplex, so when I'm preparing my materials, I don't necessarily think that's my fault that everything I've prepared now, I don't know, essentially is going to be invalid because the city doesn't have a special code for what the city.
It does have a special code. That's what I'm saying. We've just recently created. That's why there's very few sales so far. With this secondary unit is very new. It's within the last couple of years, and we have created a new code for it. This residential secondary unit code.
Okay, but that's not on any of the comparable information
On which
that's listed on
information?
the city. So if you go to the city's website, I have it included in everyone else's materials at the back. I printed off the comparable sales data that comes from the city's website. Yeah, that one there. That was the most recent data that was on there. Again, if things aren't indicated to reflect the current property, I don't know how I'm supposed to have relevant information to this meeting. I guess I'll just leave everything else to my presentation. I have no further questions, Madam Chairperson.
Okay, and we'll take this into consideration when making our decision. I understand the confusion as well.
So I'm sorry, I just want to. So when you were looking on the sales books online, that's what you're saying. When you were looking at sales books on our website, there was nothing to indicate whether you were looking at a secondary unit or that's what you're saying.
Well, currently all that's listed is
just
the
what
type of levels
building it is.
and.
Okay, and you know what, I understand what you're saying because I can see, like, it's just showing what the building type is, but not whether it's a secondary unit or a duplex or a single-family dwelling or that type of thing. That's what you're saying. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's no indication that
okay.
to differentiate duplex from.
And I understand what you're saying. And it doesn't state for any building, I guess, whether it's what it is. It's just whether it's a one-story, a two-story, a bi-level, that type of thing. Okay, I see what you're saying. But it just doesn't state it for what any type of building is, kind of thing.
Right, but
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just asking you if I'm
something-
looking at comparing comparable properties that's listed on this Winnipeg sales data, and then you're presenting the information as duplex. and then you're saying that these aren't actually duplex. To me,
Well-
as a citizen, that's a little confusing because I'm trying to look
Sorry,
at
yes, I
comparable
understand what you're
information.
saying. But I guess what could possibly happen is, because it just has building tech, I mean, when you're looking at these sales, it doesn't say whether it is a duplex, a single-family dwelling, a secondary, so it doesn't say anything. It's not saying that, so, I mean, maybe that's another thing that we could add to our list. But I mean, if you looked on like the property, like individual property record,
I'll
you would
get
be
to that
able
in my,
to, you
I'll
would
get
be
to that
able
in
to
my
see
presentation.
more information. You know,
Okay.
That's what I'm.
Okay, so I think
So the sales books are not as
they're not as clear as
clear,
perhaps
and then
they
when you
could
have
be.
to- Well, they can't give all the information, so like if you go to each individual property and type in property search, then it would give more information. That type of thing. Like there can only be, I guess, as much information for the sales books, and then looking at an individual property would give more information.
Right, but when you have a list like this to go through each individual property also.
Well, I mean, if you have to pick certain ones that are comparable to yours. So if you're going to look for comparable properties, you're going to look at the individual list, or like the individual property and see if it is comparable to your property.
Okay, so let's let's move on with the presentation then.
Sure.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Grodzik, did you have any questions of this?
No, I don't.
Okay, Ms. Raffel?
No, I have no questions, thank you.
Okay, I don't have any other questions, so I guess Mr. Trudell, please proceed with your presentation.
Okay, so if you look, I've included a couple things and try to go through them in a clear and concise manner, but I think first I'll start with some of the information I provided in the tables. If you can flip to that page, please.
Sorry, just give us a minute to
Yep.
get to that.
So it should be about 3 or 5 pages.
So it's just past the envelope.
Correct. I'll get to the house
Okay.
realtor portion
Got
after.
it. All right.
Okay, so what I did was I went through the city's sales data that they asked us to look at in comparison to prepare for this this hearing, and exactly what the city assessor has said to do. I have gone through the list and looked at 2-story infills in the area because that's what it is, and I've tried to look at what are some of the best comparables in terms of square feet. I realize that some of these aren't necessarily secondary. Have secondary suites of them. However, again, I would state that in building my house, in terms of code, in terms of variances, they are not the same coding and requirements as a duplex was. So that's why I chose single-family homes. I realize there's going to have to be some type of price adjustment to include the secondary suite in the basement, but I believe comparing it to straight duplexes is not fair because there isn't a size restriction for what the second suite in a duplex can be. They can be both the same size, one can be slightly smaller one, but in a secondary suite you're limited to a third of what your primary or what the primary residence's square footage is.
Sorry, so this, what you built, has a size restriction or does not?
It does not.
Oh, does not, okay, sorry, thank you.
I'm just giving the differences of what a duplex and what the secondary
Sorry,
suite is.
okay, sorry for interrupting.
That's okay, I'm sure person. So what I've done is I've gone through the area and looked at all the infills that have sold somewhat recently, or even I've had one back to 2000. I looked at what they sold for, and I know we can't compare what city assessments are, but I did that as just a curiosity of what other properties are being valued in the area. So you have the city sales data in the first table. After that, I spoke to a realtor to see what some other infill properties have been selling for in the area. Again, all built within the last couple of years. I'll get to that in a moment with the realtor listings that were before this table. And then what I did was I just drove around my neighborhood and tried to find other infills and looked at the city assessment data. Now I know this can't necessarily be presented as evidence.
Yes, we can't look at this.
But there is no sales data because people built them and they haven't sold them. So to be able to compare, again, this is more for information. I know it's not going to bear weight, but to me, you can't ignore that because this is what the city is saying, what my neighbor's houses are worth. And again, these are infills, so there's not going to be a long list of sales in my area. So if we look at the average for square footage of something of an infill my size from the city sale data, it was 300,042. 394. Again, that's not with the secondary suite, so you're going to have to take that into consideration. And the realtor's data that we're going to move on to right away is closer to 385,000. So we move to the realtors data. You look, they're all infills, again, brand new homes, but all of them have higher end finishes, hardwood floors, granite countertops, open concept. Mine has linoleum floors, laminate countertops, not nearly any high end finishes that are going to be in some of these other listings. And again, you can see their assessment values, and they're quite a bit lower than what mine is. The other thing I would like to bring up after that is when receiving my tax assessment letters, I received them all a couple weeks before the taxes were due. I've been fighting with the city since 2017 when I was building the house to be able to get a better idea of what the taxes were going to be, how much they're going to be worth, and I received 3 letters all at once, and this included a $35,000 jump from what I was paying to what it was originally assessed to what they're assessing it now. So that's at the very back before the city sales data. So the first letter they had assessed it for the 2018 year at $365, and then that jumped all the way to $400,000 for the 2020. I think if you look at some of the assessments, I know we can't compare them, but again, if you're looking at other assessments for the area as well as values of the homes, a $35,000 increase to me just seems pretty outrageous, especially when I received all 3 letters within 2 weeks of having to pay taxes for a year. And I also included some of my appointment cards with some of the city assessors. I didn't include any of the emails because already I thought I was giving you guys way too many papers and documentations. But this has been a very frustrating process with the city. I've been going back and forth with them for 2.5 years on trying to figure all this out. And yeah, I mean, you talk to one person and things don't seem to move forward, and you get lost and papers get shuffled around. It's been almost a nightmare. My wife has said that she never wants to build in the city again. If we do, we were going to go outside and build a house outside the perimeter, because there's between the city inspectors telling you 3 different things whenever they come to see you, between the tax people who are less than helpful when you go to see them to try to get answers. And I want to pay my taxes. I want to pay them on time. I want to have an idea of what I'm going to be owing the city. And again, they told me about 2-3 weeks before taxes are due, and I have to pay, I think, something like $8,000 in a 3-week span. So anyway, that's my presentation.
Thank you very much.
Can I just make an explanation about what, like he's saying is just why his value went from this to this? Can I just explain that?
Well, questions down there you can summarize.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. I don't have any questions.
Oh, okay.
I don't have any questions, and I can't really speak on the comparables because they're not the same type of properties, so I don't have questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Graz. Questions?
Probably through all this it may have come out, but when was this property, the construction completed?
In its entirety?
Yeah.
It was finished in March 2018.
2018. So this multiple sort of assessment notices that you got, was that in prior to the completion or while you were still building? Yeah,
I would have got that. Those 3 letters I would have got this summer.
This summer, which would have been after everything's completed.
Correct.
Okay. So this is the first year that it's kind of fully assessed. So you wouldn't have had a previous assessment on.
Correct. So I was paying tips on the vacant lot, and I knew that it would be going up. However, there was they wouldn't give me an indication on what it might be and what types of money to be putting away.
Yeah. I suppose that's not knowing what the end product and now the secondary residential you refer to it as a secondary suite or a secondary unit?
It's a secondary suite or a grandma's suite.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like a granny flat or whatever
interchange.
sort of thing.
Correct.
And is it for rent or are you?
It is for rent.
For rent. Okay. And it is again, I'm trying to go through this so just so I'm clear on, so it is the same, roughly half the square footage of the entire Like, I think
No.
it's,
So my house is 1391.
Yeah.
It's about 400 square feet.
okay, so that,
And again, that's a requirement by the city that granny suites or secondary suites can only be up to a third of what the square footage
okay,
of
I
the
wasn't
house
sure
is.
which was being referred to here, yeah, okay. So what do you, now you built this, or you basically had it constructed for yourself,
Correct.
is that right? Do you, I've lost my train of thought. Do you know how much it cost you to build this? What was it cost? How much would that be?
I believe it was 374.
And what do you think the market value of this property is? What would be or an appropriate assessment? What do you think it would, having gone through all this research, what do you think would be?
I would say at least what I paid for it. I don't think I lost any money. I think some of the averages I found around 385 mark, which they had provided in one of their assessments, or 380. You know, something like that to me seems more reasonable. But I mean, I'm not a professional assessor either. So, but from what I can see, and again comparing it to some of the other properties. Yeah, I would say anywhere 380, 385 range.
I think that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm assuming that the $374,000 includes the price of the lot?
Yes.
Okay. I'm also wondering how much you charge for rent for the basement suite.
So that's a bit of a tricky situation because my suite falls under rent control, so I can't go more than what the provincial guideline is for a one-bedroom. So currently I'm charging $900 a month.
And does that include utilities?
Yes, it includes everything and a parking spot.
And a parking spot.
it includes laundry as well.
Okay. Now, I'm curious about, I can see how this would be confusing, these two letters you received dated June the 5th.
Again, speaking to some of the frustration I've had with the city and the tax department, yes.
And so one of you received these the same date, I'm assuming, since they look to be issued the same date.
Well, actually, because they had a different, like they had my old address at the taxation department, but none of my other city services, they were sending me the letters either. So I got them all on the same date, but again, they were quite late.
Okay. So one of these letters says that the January, so one is for 2018.
Correct.
And one is for 2019.
Correct.
Okay. And so this is the first time that you received this notification from the city, although you indicate you've been asking them for information about it.
Correct. And if you look at some of the assessor appointment cards, you'll see some of the dates on the top. I believe that was one of that paper there, yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see some of the dates up top on those are the official appointment dates. Where
So
they
you had contacted the city to ask them to come to?
multiple times. I didn't include those emails, but yes, I have contacted the city and they've contacted me. It's been a back and forth.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think that's all my questions. Thank you very much.
I just had one question. Most of them have been answered, but the appointment card, the one, I think it says April 11th, 17, it seems cut off on our photocopy.
2019, I apologize.
So it's April 11th, 2019?
Correct, sorry.
Oh,
I could show that.
That's
That's
fine.
the original.
It's fine. I just wanted to, it was just cut off, so I just... Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Evans? Yes.
I just was for your own, I just wanted to explain why we sent out the letters at the time that we did and how it does, I guess, seem confusing, but it's just that it was a brand new house, so we add new houses. I mean, they do get added after you've already moved in, you know, so I mean, we do add it and then we add it for the current year, I mean, the previous year, the current year, and then like for 2020, so that's why you received all these three letters at the same time, and they're for different years, and they're for different values, and the reason why 2018 and 2019 are different values is because we didn't include the basement finish on that area until 2019, so I guess whoever spoke to you, it wasn't fully done, or we gave you the full year of 2018 without that basement unit and the finished area in it, so 2018 was lower than 2019 due to that. And then 2020 was just a reassessment. So basically 2020 was 3.9% higher than what your 2019 value was, with everything being finished, the whole house, the secondary unit and everything. And so that's why it's 3 different values, and it comes all at once, and unfortunately that's what happens in new builds. And then from carrying forward, it will just be every year you get one bill, that type of thing. And I know that you get all the taxes at one time for the 18 and the 19, and that's unfortunate, but that's how it has to happen for new builds.
While I understand that's maybe how it is, it's very difficult for a citizen to then appeal any of these decisions when 1 year is being based off the next, and you're getting 3 or 4 citizens on the road.
And you do have time to appeal. At the bottom of the letter, it states that you are able to appeal. Well, which I don't know where that letter went, but it does state there that you do have the option to
But
appeal.
isn't that what we're doing now?
You're doing the 2020, yes. The 2020.
But if I received all these letters at the same time, why would I pay $53 for each single statement?
Well, you're appealing 2020, but when you would have received this letter back in June of this year, it gives you the option to appeal within 20 days of receiving the letter.
Yeah,
for the previous year.
But what I'm asking is, if I receive 3 letters at once, why would I spend $162 to appeal each letter when I'm here appealing the property for 1 year, which everything is applying to?
Well, you would be, because you would have to appeal for, this appeal right now, you're appealing 2020. You didn't appeal for 2019 or 2018. You would have had to state, you would have had the option of doing it within June 5th was your statement date. You would have had the option of being able to appeal each of these letters within 20 days. I'm sorry, I don't really understand what you're asking me. Why?
So that would be 3 separate appeals? I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm not really understanding
He
what
would
you're
have
saying.
to appeal 3 separate times?
I don't know how the Board of Revision, if they do all 3 appeals at one time, like if you pay 1 fee, I don't know, that's the Board of Revision, you'd have to discuss with the fee, but...
Okay. I would just counter that
you could
I've
do
received all
3,
these letters at the
yeah.
same time, and so for me as a citizen, I would think common sense would prevail, and appealing this would all happen at the same time.
And then your appeal, but you'd have to state on what year you're appealing on the application form, like those types of things, and then that's how they, like the application form would have said 2020, like this application that you filled out says 2020.
I mean, I can understand in principle why the city might require that, but again, if this is a new construction and I'm receiving all the information at once, if I'm appealing it and it's the first time that I'm able to appeal something.
Well, you have to put the correct years on your application form. Like it goes to the Board of Revision. We don't get anything to do with your application forms when you're appealing to the Board of Revision.
I understand what you're saying.
Yes, we understand.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Any further questions from the board?
I have no further questions.
I have no further questions either, so thank you very much. Leave it with us, and you'll receive your decision in a minute. Okay, I'll now close this hearing. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Sorry, I will call this meeting back to order. We are at 295 Academy Road. Please proceed.
Sure. So for 295 Academy Road, I made a recommendation for the 2020 value. It was 505, but we did an inspection, and based on the condition of the home, I made a recommendation to lower the value down to 347, and the homeowner accepted.
Oh, sorry, you know what we forgot to do? Read in the roll numbers.
Sure.
Sorry.
Sorry, the roll number is 120470900, 295 Academy Road.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can you tell me a little bit, I'm sorry,
Oh, no,
about
go
the
ahead.
condition of the home that
Yes.
resulted in this reduction?
Yes, the house is, well, a lot of things we changed about the records because they've removed the basement finish since they moved in. They just purchased it a few years ago. There's large holes and cracks in the concrete in the basement. We have to redo the whole foundation. It is a 2.5-story, but the second, or the like half attic area is completely unfinished, uninsulated. They need to redo everything. They removed everything after they moved in. As well as on the second floor, there was like an enclosed veranda area.
Oh, yes.
That's completely removed and uninsulated. They have to redo that. There's been some water damage in the basement. There's been some damage to that as well. Also, their backyard, they have a pool. The pool is still on our records, but I removed the value of what the pool was because there's no liner. It's completely dug up around, and basically the pool is like half out of the ground, and they need to just, basically they need to put a new pool in, or like not like refinish it and then redo all the landscaping around it. They have a door coming out of their kitchen on the main floor, and there's no deck. It just opens up and it's like
You can just fall out of the house.
Basically just fall.
great.
There's a lot of things they need to do to this house, and they are planning to, and we removed a couple bathrooms because the bathrooms are, one bathroom is completely gone, the other bathroom is not usable, so they're doing a lot of stuff, and they are planning to work on this house, but it's going to take them a long time. So I lowered them based on the condition.
What is the value of a pool, just out of curiosity?
I mean, I would say, actually, you know what, I think I have it written down somewhere. It was, let me just see. For this particular one, I mean, it's not always the same, but I removed roughly $28,000 based on this house and
This
their
particular.
pool, yeah, and their size and that type of thing.
Okay. Well, once they finish everything,
It'll be back.
It'll be
back. Nice. And it'll go back up eventually.
sounds like they've got a lot of work to do.
They
there.
do. They really do.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Grozick?
I'm good. I was kind of curious about that same thing, so that's answered.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
I'm now closing the hearing. Thank you. I apologize for
No problem.